The top story is Ethiopia's access to the sea, key to regional development, says UAE diplomatic expert. And Pan-Africanist Kemi Seba asserts that Pan-Africanism should be seen as both a science and a solution to address Africa's key challenges. Hello and welcome to EBC with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. The preparation of new water and energy policy is well underway with the target of serving the nation for the coming years, the Ministry of Water and Energy revealed. A discussion forum was held on Monday with relevant stakeholders of water and energy to enrich the draft policy with additional inputs. Opening the discussions, Minister of Water and Energy Habtamu Itafa said the water sector is interrelated with the country's security and foreign policy affairs. Accordingly, he stressed the policy has been drafted based on all necessary considerations, noting the need for additional input from participants, stating that the policy also prioritizes the participation of the private sector. He said that it has incorporated on how to engage the private sector with the objective of ensuring inclusiveness and equal benefit in the sector. The draft policy is expected to serve the nation for the next 20 years, ensuring fairness and accessibility to all citizens with fair distribution, one of the basic principles of the water policy. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Monday met with African diplomatic envoys in China and celebrated Africa Day together in Beijing. Ambassadors or chargés d'affaires of more than 50 African countries to China and representatives of the African Union in China attended the meeting. On the occasion, Wang said overall positioning of China-Africa relations has also been upgraded to an all-weather China-Africa community with a shared future in the new era, and China's relations with Africa have entered the best period in history. At the summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, held in Beijing last September, President Xi put forward 6 proposals and 10 partnership actions for jointly advancing modernization. China will, as always, firmly support the just position of African countries and firmly support Africa in playing a greater role on the international stage, Wang noted, according to Xinhua. The United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNICTAD, opened a high-level regional dialogue aimed at enhancing access to external financing for climate-resilient development in African small island developing states, SIDS. Held at the UNECA Conference Center in Addis Ababa, the 2-day event brings together representatives from Comoros, Cabo Verde, Seychelles, Mauritius, Sao Tome and Principe, Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar and Benin, alongside UN agencies and development partners. In her opening remarks at the meeting, Zuzana Szydrowski, ECA Director of the Macroeconomics, Finance and Governance Division, underscored the urgent need for innovative financing solutions to address the unique vulnerabilities of African SIDS. Szydrowski highlighted the severe economic constraints facing African SIDS, including small, import-dependent economies, geographic remoteness, and exposure to global shocks. The meeting aims to validate national financial strategies for Comoros and Cape Verde, incorporating green bonds, blue bonds, diaspora bonds, and debt for climate swaps, identify regulatory reforms to unlock external financing, strengthen coordination between finance and environment ministries, facilitate peer learning among African SIDS, including Mauritius and Seychelles, and call for reform in global financial architecture.
Located about 500 kilometers from Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, and about 35 kilometers downstream from the town of Bahir Dar and Lake Tana, is the mighty, mystical Blue Nile Falls. The locals call it Tisa Bay Falls and is believed to have some special powers. Tisa Bay means water that smokes. Ooh, I can see the water already.
Yeah, this is blue.
Blue? This water is not blue.
Blue, it's brown.
Brown Nile.
Because you know
Is this the Nile?
This is the blue Nile.
This is the blue Nile.
Blue Nile. Isn't it a Washington?
Thank you. So I'm going to buy one of these for entertainment because he has entertained me even if I don't know how to blow it. Pick a nice one.
Gordon's a bit of a cowboy. He's got his own style of doing things.
Welcome back. Access to the sea is not only a national priority for Ethiopia, but a great potential for the development of the entire region. UAE's Anwar Gargash Diplomatic Academy Senior Research Fellow Bakadrizeva said in an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency. Senior Research Fellow Damiana Bakadrizeva said turning Ethiopia from a landlocked economy to one that gains access to the sea has a great potential for the development of the entire region. Tigasar Nisas the following from the Ethiopian news agency.
Sea access is crucial for Ethiopia's economic development and trade, especially as a landlocked country. It enables access to the international market, facilitates the movement of goods, and can enhance economic growth and stability. Access to the sea is not only a national priority for Ethiopia, but also a great potential for the development of the entire region, says UAE's Anwar Gargash Diplomatic Academy Senior Research Fellow Barkadazeheva. In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, Senior Research Fellow Damiana Barkadazeheva said turning Ethiopia from a landlocked economy into the one that gains access to the sea has a great potential for the development of the entire region.
Turning Ethiopia from the landlocked economy that it has become into one that gains again access to the sea is not only of national priority for Ethiopia, but is of great potential for the development of the entire region. Because if you think of the capacity of Ethiopia to produce goods and services compared to the other economies in the region, if those goods reach one of the ports or several of the ports of the region, those ports' activity will multiply by 10 times just by getting the Ethiopian products to be traded through it. That would create more economic activity, more volume of trade through these ports. It will create jobs. It will create further economic activities that trickle down away from the ports.
Stressing the need to ensure stability and security of the region by bolstering cooperation, she noted that it is also important to strengthen collaborations in other strategic areas with the Horn of Africa.
The Gulf countries will rely massively on trade, on logistics, on transportation, and without security in the Red Sea, we have to go all the way down through the Horn to the Cape of Good Hope, and that increases the time and the cost of the maritime traffic. So we need this part of the world to be as stable and secure.
Sea access allows Ethiopia to participate more fully in the global trade, importing necessary goods and exporting its own produce. It also attracts foreign investment and tourism, which can further boost the economy.
Pan-Africanist Kemi Seba says Pan-Africanism can be seen as a science and remedy to address the different issues facing Africa. While Africa made significant strides with regards to economic cooperation, the Pan-Africanist urged Africans to stand in unison to fight the new forms of neocolonialism. Shagao Yamato has more.
Pan-Africanism is a political and social movement began in the late 19th century to advocate for the unity and solidarity of African countries and people of African descent worldwide. This struggle gave birth to the formation of the Organization of African Unity in 1963, which became African Union, aiming to promote unity, peace, development, and integration across the African continent. Talking to EVC World at this dialogue, Pan-Africanist Kemi Seva sees Pan-Africanism as a science and remedy to the different issues on the continent.
Pan-Africanism is the most strongest weapon for give freedom, justice, equality to all our people. In the 21st century, unfortunately, there is still colonialism, neo-colonialism, everywhere in Africa, and in the same way in some part of the diaspora, in Caribbean, for example. And we see Pan-Africanism as a science, a medicine, who is able to solve many illnesses who touch our people.
The Pan-Africanist also underscores the need to have a popular approach to be connected with the population at the grassroots for social justice and understand the new forms of neocolonialism. That is why Seva and other Pan-Africanists are working in the Pan-African emergency movement to address all these issues.
We work on the social justice because we cannot speak about Pan-Africanism without spread social justice inside our people. We fight ethnicism, war between many ethnicity, because we think that it's very important to understand that united we are strong, divided we are very weak. And last point, we fight against, obviously, neocolonialism, because in many regions of Africa, neocolonialism is still alive.
Reacting to Africa Day celebration that commemorates the formation of the Organization of African Unity, the Pan-Africanist urges Africans to stand in unison to fight the new forms of neocolonialism.
When we speak about Africa Day, obviously, as you said that before, it's linked with the creation of the Organization of African Unity. But in the same way, it's a kind of remembrance of all the struggles that our people made for become free. It's the remembrance of the necessity to love each other, to be on the way of solidarity, to be on the way of self-determination, to be on the way of embrace our own culture. And Africa Day is a remembrance of the only one reality for our people. United, we are strong. Divided, we are weak.
Every year on May 25th, Africans across the continent celebrate Africa Day, marking the formation of the Organization of African Unity, the current African Union, to celebrate progress and promote unity and solidarity among Africans.
Finally, the participants of the ID for Africa Summit held in Addis Ababa in the past week stated that the event served as a platform where numerous technology providers engaged directly with users. It was highlighted that Ethiopia has made significant progress in implementing digital identity systems. The success of Ethiopia's FIDA digital ID initiative has also been presented as a model that could be replicated in other countries. The feedback and insights shared by attendees of the ID for Africa Summit will be followed up accordingly. Take a look at the story.
We've made some really good contacts. We've met some really interesting suppliers who have incredible technologies. We're really excited to see the positive change happening in Africa, how keen the African region is to embrace technology and their thirst for innovation. It's been a really positive week.
For Africans to identify their identification, and that has been a problem in Africa per se, but the initiators have been able to bring to fore the importance of identification in Nigeria. So this seminar, in most cases, every year is more for me like a ritual. For every year, there is always one or two things that will come up to be recognized.
Africa is, the big potential because there are so many populations, and the African country is getting more bigger and bigger.
I can tell you there were developments which led to the appreciation that there are new credentials that are available in Africa. We call them the inclusive credentials. They're based on the digital seals. So we believe those are going to make a huge difference. They're already being used in the FIDA in Ethiopia, but other countries are now confident that they can use them because of the validation by NIST, the National Institute for Standards and Technology from the US.
You're watching ABC. A quick reminder of the top stories. Ethiopia's access to the sea key to regional development, says UAE diplomatic expert. And Pan-Africanist Kemi Seba asserts that Pan-Africanism should be seen as both a science and a solution to address Africa's key challenges. That's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good time and do take care.